Okay, so we're here. This is our third episode of this series, which we're still very excited about, and I hope you are too. And it's about running a half marathon. So whether it's your first half marathon or you want to smash out a PB, which is what Holly's attempting at the moment, or whether it's your second or third, you've not got back in the saddle for ages and ages. This is all the stuff we wish we knew before we started our first half marathon, whenever, for me, a generation ago, for Hol, a few years back. But yeah, all the stuff most of this stuff that we're talking about, I didn't do or know about before doing that running. So when we're talking about things like nutrition, we're talking about sessions, we're talking about, well, today we're going to be talking about strength. I didn't do any of that, to my detriment. So this is all stuff that's going to help, I promise.
Yeah, me too. I think that this is maybe the big one for me. I think maybe along with starting to do some interval training, strength is the big thing that has allowed me to become a better runner. We talk about it a lot in the slightly negative context where we're like, oh, you've got to avoid injuries by doing this, and this is how you can sort of make yourself bulletproof to this, that, or the other. But one of the other lovely bonuses of strength that I think actually people don't talk about as much is it can make you faster and make you like better in terms of your running, your form and stuff. You can hold yourself in a completely different way if you are stronger.
And also, and in terms of, right, this is really dull, but in terms of longevity, in terms of keeping healthy and fit for longer, for having a comfortable life and existence within your body, strength is the secret weapon.
Yeah.
So not running, not cycling, not swimming. I mean, although those things are very, very good for things like heart and lungs, but in terms of being able to sit down on the loo without using a handlebar, or being able to kind of put your arm out if you fall down, being able to hold your shopping, being able to kind of lift up a child, or to reach things from a top shelf, or to tie your shoelaces or cut your toenails. All of that it all depends on your muscle strength. And having good muscle strength means that we can continue to be independent and strong and able to move in the way that we're used to doing as young people, and that we want to continue to do into our 70s, 80s, 90s and beyond.
Even as a relatively young person, I think that building that strength has made a difference to my daily life, like hugely. That I love that I can say yes to more things. Like I just have more energy and my legs don't get tired. So if like a friend wants to go for a dog walk, but then I've also got to do a run and I also need to go into town later, something like that might have wiped me a few years ago. Whereas now I'm raring to go and I can do all of those things. And I just feel like I have more energy. I will find, and I think this is, maybe it's a combo of strength and running. But since increasing my fitness in that way, I get the zoomies like a small dog.
Yes.
Sometimes I need to run around the living room a few times and then sit back down.
It's activity begets activity, doesn't it? Which is actually quite nice. You sort of, at the beginning of a kind of a fitness journey, you sort of think, oh, I'm going to be exhausted after a little bit and I won't want to do this anymore or whatever. But actually, it's surprisingly easy to make the habit stick.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes people don't report on that because, obviously there's quite a lot of stuff out there that is sold on the kind of the theory that habits are hard. So
yeah, I think you're right. Like, so a big thing I was going to ask you, and I will ask you after this, but it leads in nicely to, I guess, the thing that stopped me from doing strength before. I think I didn't know how to do any of it on my own at home, and I was scared of a gym. Whereas, and I think I thought going to the gym would be really hard, would be like a thing that I'd really struggled to kind of make that stick. And I mean, you can't keep me away at the moment. I've got a guest pass with you, and I texted you last night being like, please, can I come with you tomorrow? I think
you did.
Now that I'm starting to get into the swing of going, It's great. But the thing that gave me the confidence to start doing that, because I completely get that you might be listening to this as somebody who has done a bit of strength before, or you might be listening to this as somebody who, like us, completely ignored strength for the first few times you've done, running races or whatever. But getting just some very simple bits and doing things at home was key for me. But before I go into that, why did you not do strength before? Was it lack of understanding, or was it fear?
Complete lack of knowledge. Complete lack of knowledge. So when I first trained for a half marathon, so 22, 3 or 4 years.
20
few years ago. What the hell? Anyway, when I started training for that half marathon, I just assumed that all you needed to do to train for a half marathon was to run. So I didn't know anything about this. And I do have a history of many gym memberships in my life, which predated and postdated that time of training. I just didn't think you put the two together. And I think also at the time, doing something more than 3 times a week seemed excessive. And that's how I was, I was running 3 times a week, so I wouldn't do anything more than that. Weirdly, though, what I do remember is finishing that training, and I joined a gym again afterwards to do different stuff. I did see them as 2 separate beasts. Here is your running, here is different kinds of training. But what I do remember doing then is something that I heard Laura, our run coach that works for us on women's running, I heard her say this too. So I think that back then I did have this kind of little bit of knowledge, which was, if you're a bit scared of the gym and you've joined a gym, and number one, get a run coach to show you round, or get a PT to show you round, to show you how to use all the things and to set you up with a sort of a routine, so you know what you're doing and you don't feel out of your depth. But if you're not in a position to do that, or to do that yet, one of the best things that I did then was to go to the gym and hop on a treadmill, which I could work, and watch people. You're not supposed to watch them, but you do.
Nice.
And you watch them, not in a kind of weird, pervy way, but to think, oh, right, that's how that machine works.
Yeah.
That's what that machine is for. And just have a little look and see what they're doing. And it can make you feel a bit more confident the second time you go, to think, actually, at the end of this bit on the treadmill, I'm going to go and use that machine if it's free. Yeah. And I think that can be really helpful.
Yeah. I also think that not underestimating the power of YouTube is a thing. Like, how people say, most sort of, I don't know, plumbing issues isn't a good example. You probably shouldn't muck about with that too much. But, lots of fixing something in your car or something, that a lot of the time you can just sort of watch a YouTube video and figure out how you might give it a go. And I did that a lot and still do all the time. Most of my search history is like stretches for tired runners, or leg exercises for runners with sore hips, or things like that. I am constantly having a little Google, and as long as you're making sure that the person that you're getting that information from is like relatively qualified to do so, then I think it's a mine of amazing information that you can find on there.
So why don't we...
The internet. Sorry, I'm saying this as though
who
it's
knew?
Have you heard of it? It's changed my life. You've got to get on the web.
It's weird. It's like an encyclopedia, but
I think it's going to be the next big thing.
I think it might be. Right. So tell us about your training then. So how did you get into it? What do you do? What do you think we should be doing as runners?
Yeah. Okay. So, as always, pinch of salt in that I am a runner, not a run coach, but this is what works for me and has helped me build quite a bit of strength. I first started taking it a bit more seriously about 18 months ago, when we spoke to our lovely colleague Kate, who is a PT and is qualified to give people advice about what they should be doing. And she gave us a really simple little program that I think was entirely body weight at the time, because I didn't own anything. Like, I didn't have any weights or anything at home. And it was some leg exercises that I think involved squatting and lunging mainly,
Mm-hmm.
and marching, a bit of marching, which I think is actually probably a bit more core, isn't it? But that was on there. A little bit of arm stuff or sort of upper
Mm-hmm.
body stuff, and then core work. And that was like dead bugs and planks
Yeah.
mainly.
Okay.
And I started doing those, and I think the thing that helped me get into the habit of it actually was that I had an injury at the time. So I'd also been given some physio exercises. So I sort of decided, right, I'm going to do this 3 times a week. I'm just going to follow the little thing. And it took like 15, 20 minutes or something. So it really wasn't too much of a big deal. I would just
Yeah.
put my gym kit on at the beginning of the day. And then at some point in the day when I had 15, 20 minutes to spare, I would just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the joy actually of Kate's one was it was all written down so I could listen to an audiobook or watch TV or something while I did it,
Nice.
which I now don't do anymore because I watch YouTube videos. But after that, I felt like I wanted to start graduating into building a bit more strength. And I thought next step is probably getting some dumbbells. So
Mm-hmm.
I ordered some of the just classic sort of neoprene dumbbells on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Started with, I think, 2 sets of 3 kilogram ones, and used those to start doing a little bit more, like I think particularly arms. And then once
Yeah.
you've moved past body weight, for sort of lunges and squats and things, it is helpful to start adding some weight.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then slowly ever since I've just been building up the weights that I use. Every 6 months or so I'll buy heavier weights, and then it'll take me a good few months to sort of get to the point where like I'm really comfortable with those, and I feel like I probably need to try some heavier ones. So
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, and I guess the things that I do at the moment, cut to today,
Mm.
where I'm training for a bit more of a serious PB for me. I've got to shave quite a chunk off my time, so I am really trying to focus on strength and how that can help me be quicker, and especially towards the end of the run when I know I'm going to be flagging a bit, to kind of be able
Yeah.
to rely on my muscles. And I'm doing 2 sessions a week of strength, and then trying, New Year's resolution, to also do a stretching session as well.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that's good.
and the main things that I'm doing, particularly in that lower body, so I'll split it into lower and upper. Arms are obviously, take or leave a little bit. I think it probably does help a bit to have arm muscles if you're running, because I guess you're kind of pumping back and forth. But the main thing that I'll focus on in that upper body session will be core, which I'll come
Mm-hmm.
back to. But lower body wise, I do lots of squats. I try and do sort of narrow suitcasey ones where I'm just squatting down, but then I'll also try and do wider leg sort of zumo-y ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do quite a lot of deadlifting to try and build some hamstrings, which I feel like I've now done, but this is why I need to get the stretching in, because now they're very, very tight. And lunges, glute bridges.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I know that I really need to work on, that I'm trying to incorporate at the moment, is single leg stuff. So I do like a bit of single leg deadlifting, but I
Yeah.
don't really do a huge amount of single leg anything else. So I'm going to try and focus on that a little bit more so that I can rectify what is a slight imbalance in my leg strength. And then, for the upper body bit, I will do core stuff mainly, and lots of that is dead bugs or sit-ups, or are they called jackknives or something, when you're sort of, you tuck in and
Mm-hmm.
then you go out like a long string
Oh,
beam,
I
and
know what
then
you mean.
yeah,
They're not nice. Yeah.
they're very horrid.
Yeah.
V-sits, I have to say recently I've been doing like the sort of Russian twisty V-sits.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They are the worst.
Mm-hmm.
I
Not
really
good.
don't like them. But I follow obviously you can speak to a PT, you can do exactly what Esther said, which I think is such great advice about going to a gym and actually asking for a kind of a session with somebody who might be able to give you a good idea about what's going to be important for you and your body composition and your goals with your half.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I follow videos that I know are building the bits of my muscle that I have historically had issues with being a bit weaker. And then also focusing just on those key areas of quads, hamstrings, glutes, core that need to be really nice and strong, calves that need to be nice and strong to protect my body when I'm running a lot. That's me.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I'm very similar. I think though I probably do. Maybe I do actually focus on arms a bit more. I remember reading something quite recently where it was about well, I was talking about this off pod. It's the kind of the way in which muscle groups are paired with each other, and so not only is it a good idea. So if you're doing lunges, for instance, which is a good way of doing single leg exercises and doing that kind of squat movement, but
Yeah.
on one leg and focusing on kind of one set of muscles really. If you're doing lunges, obviously you would do a right leg and you would do a left leg, right? But but in the same way with core muscles, if you were to work on the front of your abs, because so your core isn't just abs and eight pack, it's core, your back, and your glutes. It's that whole kind of trunk of you. And so
Yeah. I don't think about that at all.
yeah. So if you're working on the front of your body, you should also pair that with exercises for the back of your body. But to be honest, if we're talking about pairs, if you're working on your legs, you should also work on your arms because in fact your arms do drive your legs. So strong arms actually help strong legs. And
Yeah, I do remember that when I was first training for the marathon, I was like, I'm getting little biceps. And I asked you, could that possibly be a result of running? Because that doesn't make any sense. And I wonder if a tiny bit it was because of my pumping back and forth.
It could well have been,
Who
but
knows?
but yeah, stronger arms definitely help. That thing of like the relieving that fatigue towards
Yeah.
the end of a race. So to have a strong upper body, and by that I mean shoulders, arms, as well as core. Having that as a strong kind of foundation can really help the fatigue or kind of help relieve that fatigue towards the end of a race. So like
Yeah.
along with the exercises that you have suggested, then I would definitely do kind of those little upper body things. I do quite a lot of shoulder work these days.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of kind of presses with a kind of not a particularly heavy weight at the moment, but yeah, shoulder presses of various kinds. So you can do like a kind of a military press where you're standing still and you push up towards the sky with whatever weight you've got. Or you can do kind of shoulder raises where you raise outwards in a sort of butterfly or raise at the
Yes,
front.
those are the worst.
Really, really, really
Hate those.
painful, really bad. But they work different areas around your shoulders and your lats and the kind of your upper back and stuff. They're really, really good for you. And then along with that, biceps and triceps. Triceps are huge. So actually, I try and spend longer doing tricep exercises than the traditional bicep exercises that you see at the gym.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
biceps, going to say it now, bit overrated.
overrated.
I agree. It's all about the triceps for me.
It's about the try.
I like them the most, sort of visually. They're cool to grow because you're like, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
But also, I do weirdly sadistically enjoy working on triceps.
Yes.
Maybe the most of
Me
all the
too.
upper body.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we were talking a bit about core, and core is fundamental, isn't it? And it's something that both of us, I think, have slacked off on in the past. But actually, it's crucial for like your kind of, I think it's running economy. It's just really, really helpful for not feeling fatigued at the end of the race, but also feeling really strong at the beginning of the race. And if you think of like your core as being that kind of tube, that sort of trunk of muscles, then actually glute bridges is a great place to start, and all of the core muscles that you were saying as well at the start. But the one that will get missed off, and the one that I currently have to work on quite a lot, is lower back.
Yeah.
And that can get missed off. And it's a really good idea to kind of work your way around to it. Do side planks, add side planks into the kind of plank regime, which I know they're horrible.
I find them very hard, and I don't know whether it's a weakness in my like the sides of my core, obliques.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Or whether it's because I have a sort of slightly hyperextending elbows but something about a side plank I find very difficult. It doesn't really work for me.
Oh, I do have an exercise you could do instead.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So you can do it with a weight standing up. So if you
Mm.
hold a very heavy kettlebell in one hand, you have to be really careful not to overextend, especially if you're a bit hyperextendy like you are.
Okay.
So don't drop the kettlebell more than a few inches on one side, and basically just dip and then pull up and then dip
Okay.
and then pull up, and then you have to change sides. But it's a very small, very controlled movement, really controlled. You have to be super, super careful because injury can creep in here when
Okay.
you've got a heavy weight. But that can take the place of it. And then I'd also do what do we call them? When you lie on your tummy and you put your hands by your head and you just lift your body off the floor just by
Oh,
2 or 3 inches.
are they little Supermans?
Little Supermans, yeah. I sometimes do them. One of them is Superman's to handcuff.
Oh,
I know. Where
very
you
sort of sounds like something you can buy in Ann Summers,
It does.
in the costume bit.
It definitely sounds quite specialist.
Mhm.
But if you lift up, if you imagine you're completely flat on the floor, you lift up your head and your shoulders, and your hands are by your head, and so your chin is off the floor by 2 or 3 inches. Then just move your arms around to kind of handcuff yourself behind your lower back, keeping your shoulders off the floor.
Oh,
Try not to touch your hands to your butt at that point, and then come back again in one kind of smooth motion. And it's a really good way of working the muscles in your lower back. And yeah, that's for me, because I have issues with my lower back. That's a really, really good one. And bird dog, not to be underestimated.
yeah.
One that I use to warm up, but also it's a strengthening exercise for back and core. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
That's really
great. I feel like I have a little bit of homework, which is to go away and do a bit more lower back, because I think I'm also starting to realize that the root of some of my issues begins in the lower back. And
Oh
that's
my
probably
God.
because it's one of the areas that I neglect. I
Mm.
think this is not my area of expertise at all, but one thing that I think can happen a little bit that we are in danger of sometimes is some of those the big boys, the classic muscles, like the main players, your quads, your glutes. They can be built at like 10 times the speed of some of the little ligaments and things that you need, that are also in use a lot of the time when you're running.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes doing some slightly sort of dynamic exercises, balance exercises, things like that get kind of some of the other like little bits in between those big muscles,
Yeah.
is a good move. Though I have to hold my hands up and say that I'm not very good at doing that, and
No, I'm terrible about that.
I would have to YouTube a video on doing that.
Yes, I think I would too. I watched something just the other day and I thought, oh, that looks like a good idea, and promptly didn't do it. And it was
Mm,
to do with, it's kind of what you were saying ages ago about the kind of the single leg stuff, that
yeah.
the knowledge that running is a series of hops
Mm,
means that actually a really useful series of exercises are ones where you kind of hop.
yeah.
So I know that occasionally when I've been to boot camp, one of the ones I really hate actually is a sort of, I think we'd probably call them ice skaters, if you can imagine what that might look like. So you
Mm,
are hopping from side to side quite a considerable distance, so 1.5 meters or something, and then zooming, or just skaters, but you zoom one leg behind you and then you hop to the other foot. But that kind of, I think it's proprioception, isn't it? That's what you're building there, which is kind of
yeah.
ensuring that you don't roll your ankles quite so much if you're on
Exactly.
uneven terrain. So that's a good thing. But it's also building up that strength in each leg, rather than just doing things in pairs, because
Yeah,
you don't
because
run in pairs.
I think it is quite normal for, at least my physio told me that it's normal for to have a bit of an imbalance. So like naturally you might lead with one leg while you're running,
Mm,
and identifying which that one leg might be. Like the way that I discovered it was through the physiotherapist by pushing against her with my leg in various different positions and
yeah.
noticing such a difference, particularly in the glute. So when I was like lying on my front and pushing against her trying to lift my legs up, that it was so much harder in one leg than the other. And now I've really noticed that. I'm like, I can tell that in my gait. Like I can feel when I'm running that like I lead with my kind of right leg, and that's where
Yeah.
that strength is being built, and I'm neglecting the other one. But if it's something that you are suspicious of or that you want to test for yourself, then you can get a friend or a running buddy or your partner or something to just sort of push back against you if you're
Yeah.
lying on your front and lifting your legs up, or sitting on a bed and lifting from your knees or whatever, and just trying to kind of test whether there is a bit more resistance in one leg than the other. And then you know where you maybe need to do a couple of extra reps on the one side when you're doing your single leg activities.
Yes, that's a really, really good point. And also I think, just to add, just very small thing to that, is just to remember about that thing about pairs, that even if you do have an imbalance in one leg, which we all do, and even if you're focusing on that one leg, don't just work on that one leg.
Yeah.
Do make sure you balance out and do it on the other one. I've fallen foul of that definitely in the past, of just going, oh, my left side hurts, so I'm just going to work on that bit or whatever. Just think of yourself as needing to balance everything out.
Definitely. And just because that side hurts, I've had exactly the same thing recently. That doesn't mean that's the side you've got the imbalance on either.
No.
I think I have almost shot myself in the foot because I spent so long working on my right side, because that was always where all my pain was. And I was like, well, that must be my shit side. And no, the left side was my shit side and my right side was doing all the work for it all the time, which is why it was so sore. So, yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing. I think you can take what you want from the bits that me and Esther have said, but my key takeaways would be to, if you obviously are worried that you might be cruising towards something that doesn't feel quite right, always speak to a physiotherapist, because they will be able to tell you which areas of your body you might need to work on building a bit more strength in. Be brave and get to a gym. And if you're feeling nervous about it and you're not quite sure what to do with yourself, absolutely ask somebody or talk to a PT, because there's no shame or embarrassment about it. That's exactly what we all should be doing. People going to the gym and just rocking up and giving it a crack, actually, weirdos.
Yeah,
Weirdos. What are you doing? What are you doing? And finally, my last bit would be that, it doesn't, if you're worried that you haven't necessarily got the funds or got the access to that kind of thing, then absolutely have a little look on YouTube. I'm happy to put the links to the videos that I do in the show notes.
Yeah.
If that's helpful.
I think that's a really good idea. It doesn't have to be expensive. Yes, you can get a gym membership, but yes, you can also buy some resistance bands, which I think cost about £8.
Yeah.
And they will work as hard as a kettlebell. You just need to follow a YouTube video to figure out how to use them. That's all. And you can work every single muscle group in your body to do it. But I think, my takeaway is that I didn't do this when I was training, and I absolutely should have done. And particularly now, I'm 52 and I see strength training as absolutely crucial in my overall well-being. So yes, for running a half marathon, but yes, also to prevent myself from breaking bones when I'm old and frail, to not getting frail. It's wanting to be, strong for life. And it's so important. It's so important. And also, I want to finish a half marathon and go woohoo and go off and have a pint. I don't want to finish a half marathon and think, oh God, I'm going to bed, I feel terrible.
Yes, that is so true. That is the most invaluable thing for me as well, is the ability to have a Guinness and a roast afterwards without being like, oh, I feel sick and I just want to go and lie on the sofa.
Exactly. That is the takeaway that you'll get from us professional runners.
It really is. Well, let's go and get hench. I wish everybody the best of luck. Meet back here in a year's time when we're absolutely swole.